Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and this is Retail Spotlight. Joining me today is Michael Kehoe, broker, owner of Fairfield Commercial Real Estate in Calgary. Thanks for joining us today, Mike.
Thank you, Mario, for the invitation.
All right, let's talk about consumer trends in the retail industry and go through some of the top five trends that you're seeing today and into the near future. First one, I find this one really interesting, is the shopping center mix, the tenant mix, and what's happening with shopping centers and the shift that's taking place. What's happening there, Mike?
Well, we're seeing the traditional shopping center mix, which was pretty much fashion driven. We're talking about enclosed malls here and major shopping centers. That mix has shifted dramatically in the past 2 to 3 years. Also, with the advent of the pandemic, we're seeing non-traditional uses come into the mix. Things like car dealerships, medical clinics, offbeat uses that you wouldn't consider to be part of the mix in shopping centers. It's really been interesting to see how the major malls have been evolving. Many more local retailers, moms and pops are coming into the mix. It's just been an interesting phenomenon that we're watching carefully.
Yeah, another interesting phenomenon right now, and in terms of trends, is certain key challenges that store owners face. And I don't think there's any surprise that labor and supply chain issues are key challenges, tough challenges. And is this something that they can expect to foresee and into the future?
The labor is probably number one right now. Supply, followed closely by supply chain issues, are issues that retailers are dealing with. Getting favorable lease terms, with respect to affordable rents is another top of mind issue. And, these are some of the challenges that food service and retail practitioners across the spectrum are facing. So it's going to be interesting over the next short while to see how they adapt. Many retailers are adapting, some are falling by the wayside, and we're going to be watching that closely.
Another trend, and this one surprises me, to be quite honest, is the green rush. I think you have labeled it is all the cannabis retail stores that I see out there. Man, within walking distance from my home, I could probably land onto about 3 or 4 of them. It's just amazing. Why are we seeing so many of these retailers opening their doors in the cannabis space?
It's been an interesting phenomenon that's happening in many provinces right across the country. It's possible that you could see a cannabis store on every corner eventually in some markets. And you call it a legalized market. Well, it's really just a regulated market. Government's got their finger in this pie big time. It's evolving. It hasn't been the best outcome for many cannabis retailers. There are probably just too many of them at this point. So we're going to see consolidation. Some stores are going to close. Market's going to shift in this, but stores are popular. The product has been accepted. It's more mainstream than ever. And you're going to see the firms really change their business model, and some will flourish. Others will fold into other firms, and there's going to be a lot of change in this industry, both on the number of stores and the quality of the offerings. So it's good. It's very polarized. You have value type operators that are undercutting the prices of the mainstream operators. Then you have the higher end offerings that are trying to appeal to a specialized market. It's going to be interesting to see what the consumer preferences are and how it all shakes out. It has been a green rush, and it's been very interesting to watch.
Okay, super. Retail luxury, Mike, another trend. it surprisingly has withstood the challenges, I guess, of the pandemic in the last couple of years, has it not?
It has, and the rise of luxe retail market in major cities across Canada has been astounding, where the stores are clustered in major shopping centers or high street locations. For some, it's the best of times and the worst of times. And some of the sales figures that we're seeing are phenomenal. Um, and in places like Vancouver, um, uh, you know, Yorkdale, Yorkville, and Toronto. Um, Calgary has a luxury cluster in Chinook Center. Um, the whole Renfrew stores. People that have money will always have money, and they want to indulge themselves in these trying times. If they can't travel, they're treating themselves to some interesting luxury goods. So we'll see that continue, and it's just another example of the polarization of retail, where on one hand the luxury goods retailers are excelling, on the other end of the spectrum the dollar stores are thriving
Yeah.
and serving a whole different market. So one thing you can bet on in consumer real estate, it's always going to be changing.
All right, super. Speaking of changing, the last trend that I want to talk to you about today, Mike, was your industry itself, in terms of the professionals, and what's happening there with the industry, commercial real estate realtors and agents, and what's happening with them these days.
Well, like every industry, there's been tremendous disruption, and the workplace has changed probably forever with the work at home phenomenon. And what we saw over the past 2 years, and 2021 in particular, was that the talent got shuffled. As many consumer real estate professionals changed firms, went independent, or they switched industries altogether. A lot of people just burnt out and left the business. One phenomenon that we've seen is that maternity leaves are way up. So the work at home phenomenon has been productive in so many ways. And I think we're going to see that continuing. Some industry members have left due to pay. We're not seeing that the firms are offering pay increases to retain their people, or other perks. But there is a real talent void in the market, where there are fewer qualified people doing more of the work. So we're seeing that companies have not replaced talent that has left. So you have fewer people doing more work on more properties, increasing the pressure and the stress on them. And I think it's going to be a continuing challenging time, but it is a trend that we're watching, and it's we live in interesting times, as Confucius once said.
Super. And Mike, not to embarrass you or anything, but how many years have you been doing this?
Well, I started my consumer real estate career in 1975 at the South Centre Mall in Calgary in marketing, and progressed up through the ranks as a mall manager, a shopping center leasing executive, and into brokerage. And I've worked on my own as a boutique independent broker for 31 years now. So it's been an interesting ride. It just means that I'm old.
Join the club. Think of all the seniors discounts we get. All right. Super, Mike. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Mario, for the invitation. Good luck in 2022.
You too. That was Michael Kehoe, broker owner with Fairfield Commercial Real Estate in Calgary. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and this has been Retail Spotlight. Thanks for joining us today.